Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wisdom of Your Soul. I'm your host Janice Mary, and this is my YouTube channel about learning to connect to the inner guide, the inner wisdom, the soul that lives in each of us, the part of us that is in spirit but lives within this human body, a part of us that is very loving and very kind and is really does not speak the same as the ego does. So when I connect to this voice, I hear a whole different story, and when you connect to it, when you channel to it, you will too. So I like to share what I get from my wisdom, from my soul, to encourage you to develop a channel for yourself, because what I get for me is going to be perfect for me, and what you get for you is going to be perfect for you. And you may resonate with some of the stuff I say, but you're better off connecting for yourself. So learning how to connect is really the way to go. And how we learn to connect is also very unique and individual for each of us. So, but I do know that when I share what I do get when I connect to that part of me, it does sometimes bring you to that part of yourself, so that then you can ask how you too can connect to it. So I just wanted to read a post that I wrote the other day when I was connecting to that soul energy. And sometimes it's not easy to connect to this energy because the ego's voice is so loud and speaks first. And the ego's voice can keep us very busy in telling us how we're not good enough, and how much we still have to accomplish, and how kind of not perfect we are. And the ego is great at that. The soul energy is just very loving and very kind. So when I first started connecting to this voice, I knew it was something very different, because it was so loving, so kind, and talking to me in a way that I've never talked to myself. So when I channel it, I hear the same thing. And, it really resonates with me because it's meant to be for me. So I just like to share it, and I hope it benefits you in some way. So I wanted to read and talk about the one that I just wrote the other day. It's called Trust. And, this took me a long time to really trust the voice that I hear. Even though this voice was saying such beautiful things to me, it's kind of an odd experience to hear something completely different than what you're used to hearing. So it took me a while to really adjust to that, to accept it, to not think I was crazy, and to really try to sink into it more and more. So I'm just going to read what I wrote, and then we could talk about it a little bit. So I entitled it Trust. How do we trust a soft voice, a voice that would never impose or push? The voice of love is forever kind and supportive of you. Can you accept that? It is hard to believe and convey that the love that pours onto this paper that belongs to you and me. The sincere gratitude for each of our beings and admiration for everything we do. The ego has become so loud that we have sadly become deaf to this rich inner source. Hearing and feeling our soul self helps you to know and accept your worthiness. Without this knowledge, we miss the most significant dimension of ourselves. We are never bored or hopeless. We are excited, inspired, and in awe of our being's limitless nature. Today, trust the voice that speaks no words of criticism to you, only love. The voice that brings pictures to your mind of who you are, how special, unique, boundless, and brilliant. This quiet yet strong voice knows you better than anyone in your life, including you, and has not one grievance of you or your life, and you can trust. So can you trust your beautiful inner guide? And, it's not easy. It's not easy to trust a voice that's telling you all these wonderful things about yourself. You tend to say, no, I'm not, perfect enough, rich enough, so I don't know if I really trust this voice. But it really does improve the quality of our lives, and then also brings us kind of into a new dimension of ourselves. It's exciting because there's a part of us that we don't even know that exists, that we're so caught up in the world and the ego and accomplishing and living our lives, that we don't realize that there's this whole other part that we can tap into. And I know for me, meditating or sinking into this part was difficult because I was very, consumed with, my job and my kids and, living in this world. So I really thought that my ego was really who I was. And it wasn't until I kind of had a breakthrough and started hearing messages, these kind of messages of love and, just really, really beautiful words, did I realize that I was much, much more than just this human body. And that really takes quite a while to really believe, trust, understand. It's taken me a long time to get my ego out of these writings. Sometimes I'll write down a post and my ego will be like, that's not so good, and the soul voice will be like, anything that you say is good. Anything that you put down onto words is good. That's what you hear from the soul energy. Like, nothing is bad about you. And there is this feeling of deep, deep admiration for you and love for you. And it does feel like it's a separate person, but it is your higher self, your soul self. So the wisdom that comes from you is the part of you that is just multidimensional. Which I think it sounds a little crazy when I say it like that. I'm a therapist and I'm very, very, grounded and scientific, and to be connecting in such a different way, was really, really hard for me to accept. But I really want to encourage people to kind of get out of their ego and tap into that for yourself, the soul energy or this inner guide, because since I have, the quality of my life has drastically improved, just because I'm not rejecting myself all the time. I think that we reject ourselves so much of the time we don't even realize it. We could just be saying, I don't like my hair, or I'm too fat, or I'm not making enough money, and we're in a constant state of rejection when it comes to the ego. And the ego very much wants to motivate us through criticism. And, when we reject and criticize ourselves like that, our bodies feel it. It's almost like if you had somebody come over and just sit there and criticize you all day. So if you wrote down all the things that come into your mind about how you are, if you're being, critical and not liking yourself, if you wrote all that down and they gave that script to somebody in your life, and they came walking in and they said all that stuff to you, you would never be friends with that person again. You'd be like, this is like a terrible person to be around for me. But we allow the ego to talk to us this way, and and not only do we allow it, it's just become such a part of us that it just floats in. So we're really not in control of it. So we don't really want to beat ourselves up for allowing it. It's just comes from our belief system. But the part where we do have control over is whether or not we want to believe it, So if you really want to work on like your beliefs and understanding that, I would highly, highly recommend the Seth books by Jane Roberts. I just started rereading them again. I had read them like a long time ago in the 80s. And I loved them then, but I wasn't connected the way I'm connected now. So when I reread them, or you can listen to them on Audible, the amount of information on how to deal with belief systems and how to create your life more through a soul-centered way is incredible. I mean, it's just incredible. So I would highly recommend if you really want to kind of connect to your soul energy, because those books were channeled through Jane, through actually somebody that had passed on from a previous life. So again, it sounds so crazy, but when I re-listened to the books, it's a lot of the information that he gave her was a lot of the information that I hear. So for me, that really was a great validation that, okay, I'm not so crazy. What I hear, other people hear, and I need that. I need that validation, because to hear all this stuff that is so out of the realm of my own belief system has not been easy. It's taken me quite a while to even want to talk about it. So I think that is why, we need so much encouragement, and we need so much help from our, inner guide. We need to walk away from the ego, who is really just a little child. The ego wants what it wants, and it wants what it wants yesterday. And if you live your life according to the ego, you're never going to be happy, you're never going to be satisfied, and you're never going to really learn who you are, which is the most important thing. So with this post, trusting, could you, ask yourself, could you trust a voice? So if the ego walks in and tells you all this horrible stuff about you, you probably would listen to it and you might agree with it. You might be appalled, but you probably would agree with it on some level and then go home and feel bad about yourself. So now, if another person walked in the room, say your soul energy, so encapsulated in another person, walks in the room and starts telling you how wonderful you are, and gives you specific examples of what they see in you, like all the good traits in you, all the things that you've done, all the smiles you smiled at people, all the times you've helped people. If that person came walking in the room and started telling you all this wonderful stuff, could you handle it? Could you handle that? And, that has really been my challenge in a way, is to accept what I hear from the soul energy, because it's not easy. When you connect to it and when you feel it, you're going to see, you're going to have the same issue. You're going to doubt it, and you're going to think that it's not really true. How could that be true of me? I think the big saving grace when you connect and you channel into your energy is that you feel a connection to everybody. So it's not like, this voice that I hear is saying, I'm the only one that's so good, and I'm the one, it doesn't single you out. It says you and everybody else, because everybody's a part of you. So that helps in digesting all the compliments that you get from, this inner source. Otherwise, it would be almost impossible to handle. But you get a different experience, and the experience is one of acceptance and not rejection. So, we know what our body feels like the minute we start rejecting it. We feel it even more when somebody else rejects us. So when somebody else rejects us, we feel it, in our chest, we feel it in our stomach, we feel the effects of rejection. And, it's probably the worst feelings that we can have. And then we also know the feelings of acceptance, when somebody loves and accepts you. And, what feels better? Of course, the loving and accepting feels much, much better. So when we go into more of this inner place, when you're meditating, or you're just, taking a walk, or, your ego and your thoughts are a little bit calmed down, you're going to hear all of this other stuff. So it is a very interesting thing to even ask yourself, could I accept it? If I heard this voice clear as a bell, could I accept it? Could I accept it? I was meditating the other day, and I was just asking, for more guidance on how I could help people really evaporate their beliefs, these horrible beliefs that we all have, including me. And what I heard is that I'm working too hard, that I'm trying to convince people not to believe what they believe, including my clients. It's like I feel like I'm fighting them sometimes, that, I don't want them to believe these horrible things about themselves, and I don't want to believe horrible things about myself, and that's what the ego does to us. But they pretty much said is that you're working too hard. People are where they are. And slowly, just like you, it unfolds in time, that very, very slowly people have this experience of really learning and digging deep and seeing the parts of themselves and feeling those parts and feeling value for themselves. And value really doesn't come from doing. Value comes from knowing, So I'm doing a million things and successful in a million ways. That never gave me any value. What really gave me value was taking the time to go within and really learning who I was. And that started changing everything, and that gave me value. And that is tapping into that wise self. That's what you feel, when you tap into that, you feel this worthiness this amazing worthiness that you'll never get from doing a task. You're never going to get it from that, because I know I've tried, So when you connect to this, out of the ego and into your inner energy, into your consciousness. Eckhart Tolle talks about it as a consciousness. When you just go within and ask for another, can I have another take on this? If a bad thought comes in your mind that wants to say, say you want to be a writer, and the thought comes in, no, you can't do that. That you just ask yourself, all right, is there anybody out there? Because out there is really in here. So when you ask for out there, you're really asking your inner self, can somebody give me like a different perspective? Because the perspective that I have on myself is pretty crappy, and will never allow me to do the things that I want to do. But the other perspective will, and the other perspective, your soul energy, when you go into that is going to encourage you to do what you want to do and open doors for you to do what you want to do. And because you have such a desire to do it, that also helps you along with it too. I have such a desire to help people and to figure myself out, that I just do this all the time. I'm always reading, I'm always searching and talking to people and trying to help people figure themselves out. And but it's such a passion. It's not a job, it's a passion. And the best part of it is that it's benefited me, So when they say when it benefits one, it benefits everybody. And that's so true. So now sitting with my clients, I know, that I can't really push people out of belief systems that they have lived with for so many years. And I'm not going to be able to do that for you either. But what you can do is you can start to channel yourself. You can channel this information for yourself, and you can channel, prescriptions for yourself. The other day I wasn't feeling good, and I immediately started to see green energy inside of my body, like a green inner body, and it was misty and sparkly and colorful. And I knew that was healing me. I just knew it was healing me. So as I was taking a walk, I walked with this green energy inside my body, and I felt so much better. I just felt so much better. And then I started getting other images. Like, you can do this for a lot of things. If you have a headache, whatever color resonates with you for healing, you could put green in your head. If you want love, if you want to bring love to you, picture pink or red sparkly energy inside of you, so that you can feel the love that already lives within you. And when you feel the love that it's already there, that lives within you, you feel that you're love, and so you're no longer searching for it. You no longer need it, because you have it. You have all the love you could possibly want. And guess what happens when you have all the love you could possibly want? Love comes knocking on your door. But all that was given to me for me. Now, I don't know if that would work for you. You could try it, but you have your own prescription. Your soul will give you your own prescription for what will help you. I share what I get as a reminder for you to try it and for you to really connect. I know when I connect, first thing in the morning and I write my posts, I'm set for the rest of the day in a really good place. And when I don't, then I'm back in my ego, and my day is ego driven. And that's generally, it's okay day, but it's not as good as a soul driven day. So you have your soul-centered day, or you have your ego day. And the ego day is like allowing that person to come in, that friend that's just going to come in and criticize you. Or you have a soul day, you're going to let that person come sit with you and tell you everything that you're doing right. I mean, what more would we want in life is to have somebody by our side, encouraging us to do the things that we love to do, pointing out all the things that we have done and all the things that we could do in the future. The soul energy will only visit the past and take out good things, and will only go into the future to bring up things that, all these great possibilities that you could be doing. And in the present, it's just love. And that's who you are, is just love. And that's who we all are. And when we connect to that, it's just love. So, when we go back to spirit, there's no sex, there's no male or female, there's no differences. We're all the same. So living in a world of differences, it's a good thing to know that we are all the same. We all come from that same love energy. So, we really want to work hard on letting go of this issue with differences. We're not different. We're all part of the same source. So, like the leaves on a tree, we're all the leaves and the tree is our source. So if we're putting somebody else down, we're just putting ourselves down. And, when we're arguing with another person, we're arguing with ourselves. It's just a mirror to what we're accepting within ourselves or what we're not accepting within ourselves. So if I'm mad at somebody, or I'm upset, or if I'm hurt by somebody, it's really me just rejecting myself, because another person can't reject me. And when I'm in that soul energy, I know that is a fact. I just know it, I know it, and I feel it. When I'm not really in that place, when I'm more in the ego, then I'm more apt to get really hurt. And that's okay. We're meant to be in both. But we're just meant to have a little bit of better balance. And my balance was way off. I was living in my ego, and I was driven by my ego. And I see with most of my clients, they're having the exact same thing. And now it's a balance between, listening to my ego and what it has to say, and, taking the best and leaving the rest, and staying more in the soul energy, where I get a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge. And, really sometimes I'll write things and it really doesn't feel like it's coming from me. It's channeled from, I guess, my higher self, or I don't know. All I know is that it tells me and makes me feel and gives me knowledge of who we really are. It just almost downloads knowledge of love, and that's where we come from, and that's who we are. We're in bodies, but that's what's inside of us. And when our bodies die, we do not. And that's the good news, especially now in these crazy times, is that when our bodies die, God forbid, we do not. We go on, and we have other lives, and it's like it's much, much more than we believe we know of, and that's good news. But pushing our belief systems, the world's belief systems, is the way to go, and will help you to connect to this energy. Because if you don't push what you believe, then you're going to stay in that very narrow life. This is all that I am. I go to work and I come home, and this is my life, and this is all that I have. Instead of realizing that you are like this magical person that can create whatever you want to create in your life, that can transform your life at any given moment, that you can manifest things in your life, that you have all these crazy spiritual gifts that you never ever realized you had. So the path to all of that, really, the way to get to that, is to walk away from the ego. To just look at the ego as a child and say, thank you. I know you're trying to protect me, and I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I got it. I'm going to go to this other source, and I want to hear what this energy, with this consciousness of what I feel inside, what this has to say to me. So, for today, I think what I would do is to just start by asking, please, help me to connect to this channel. Help me to turn the channel off from the ego and onto the soul. And it's different for everybody. So you just have to ask and say, please show me. And you'll get a book, you'll get a reading, something will come to you to help you open up to it. I can't exactly give you the exact way. That's what they told me. I was getting give me some exact way that people can connect to this, and they really couldn't. It's a desire. For me, it was a desire to know more. It was a desire to be more, to understand more. And that desire was so, so strong within me. It opened this up. So you have to have a desire and, just a remembrance of who you are, and be sick of the ego and be sick of all the limitations. And if you're not where you are in your life, that it can change, and it can change dramatically. And, that's what you want to do. Start with the Seth books. I mean, he recommends that every day you sit for 5 minutes and you just use your imagination and think about all the things that you want for 5 minutes a day. And just stay in that energy of all the things that you want and all the possibilities, and just stay in that. So then the rest of the day, if you're in those horrible thoughts, it's okay. But give yourself 5 minutes, 5 minutes of good stuff. Do we do that? Will we take the time out to for 5 minutes to think something good about ourselves, to plan something good for ourselves? The more you feel your worth, the more you want to get to know yourself. The more you reject yourself, the last place you're going to look is you. You're going to continue to look outside of yourself for help. You're not going to look within you. So, the more you connect, the more worthy you feel, the more you're going to turn to you for everything. And that doesn't mean a perfect life. It means an amazing life. It means a life with, there's no limits. So I would highly recommend it. And I hope you join me. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me. I'd be happy to answer them. JaniceSmart40@yahoo.com. It's my pleasure to talk to you and try to help you remember that you only know half the story of you, and you are really worth getting to know, deeply getting to know, and asking yourself these questions and really empowering yourself and just changing your life for the better. It's never a dull moment when you really connect to the source. It's never a dull moment. So have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Everyone has their own definition of safety, but stay safe and do the best you can. And when the ego speaks, ask to hear another voice. All right. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.